Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we get into today's video, I did want to show you the sponsor of today's video. And I just got this in. Who is bright? Uh-oh. We've got a breakdown. So today's sponsor is the Southern Sea Company. Can't say that word, that's a no-no. But it's a subscription service. And you get 4 of these C's every month. And it always comes with a Bovita pack and a little card that gives you a little information about each one. So be sure to check these guys out and consider getting a subscription with them. I don't make any money off of it. The only thing I get out of this is they send me a free box every month to show to you guys and to ask if you will consider getting subscribed to their monthly box service. Really good cigars. I've been doing it for I think a little over a year now, and I'm very pleased with it and the price. So yeah, let's get on to the original video. Alright, so I did do a video that came out probably right before this video came out, where I talked about, I do all of my YouTube videos on my iPhone. Got a new iPhone, lost a bunch of stuff for the YouTube channel, including a few videos that I had already filmed but hadn't put on the computer to edit yet. So this is one of the videos that I'm actually having to refilm again. So with all of that out of the way, we are going to be talking about ranking the top 8, in my opinion, upgrades that you can do to your already existing deck. Now, when I made this list, I was ranking them in order, thinking about price and how anybody can do some of these. Some of these are kind of big that some of you might not want to take on, and useful things. Some are like crazy, and some are a really good thing to do. Some are really easy. Some are very budget ideas to do to your deck. So all of that we're taking into account and doing this big top 8 ideas to upgrade your deck. So let's start out at number 8. Now, number 8 is going to be, if you have a deck, usually I guess you could do it if not, but most of the time is if you have a deck actually attached to your house. So if you have a back deck actually attached to your house, I'm planning on doing this but haven't done it yet. If I do, I will do a video on it, so stay tuned for that if that actually comes to pass, if lumber prices ever go down. But number 8 is a screened-in porch. If you've already got a deck, more specifically if you've got a deck already attached to your house, all you would have to do is put a roof. Well, all you'd have to do is it would need a roof, and then you're going to have to redo your posts, most likely, depending on how you do it, or adding posts depending on how you do it, and screen. And you can get a big roll of screen in a bunch of different sizes to just wrap around and then put like outside boards to hold it in place. Or you can do, they make screen panels, and figure out what size screen panel you want to use, and then you can build around the size of the screen panels you get. You can also do that with glass. It doesn't have to be screened if you're going crazy with it. But number 8 is doing a screened-in porch on your existing deck. Now, number 7 is something that I did at my old house, and I also did here as well, is a outdoor kitchen. Came in at number 7 because you could go completely crazy with this, or you can do it really budget friendly. I did my first one very budget friendly. It wasn't that big at all. Moved to this house and did another outdoor kitchen on my deck, and did a little bit more extravagant expensive type stuff, I've got a video, a little video clip on what mine looks like right now at the point of filming this. I will have a whole separate video on everything I did and how I did it coming out in the future sometime. But number 7 is doing an outdoor kitchen. Now coming in at number 6 is along the same lines as number 7, but you can do it a whole lot smaller, a whole lot cheaper, budget-friendly idea is installing a bar. Now this, as well as the outdoor kitchen, you can go crazy with this and do a whole lot of stuff, put like sinks, water lines, stuff like that in. Or I've seen a ton of people do real budget-friendly, like small tiki bars that's just like a 2 or 3 foot wide, however long, 6, 7, 8 foot, and a lot of people put like the little tiki style A-frame roof over it. You can go big, you can go small, but you can do a bar on your outdoor deck for fairly cheap. Not as cheap as you could now, obviously, but it is a more budget-friendly option and very, very useful. Now coming in at number 5 is something that a lot of people like to do if you've got a deck that is older, usually not on a newer deck, but if you've got an older deck and you want to really change the look of it up, is change the railing. Now if you've got a regular deck with all wood railing, you can completely change that up, get all of that off, and either do steel type railing, or a lot of people use the white vinyl or plastic or PVC railing that they've got posts that will slide already over your existing post. So you can take the top rail off and pull the actual railing off and leave your posts that are already there. And there's a lot of different options of stuff that will slide right over that with steel railing or whatever you end up doing, the vinyl or whatever. They make a bunch of things that will slide right over your posts that are already there, and then you can put the actual posts in between all of this stuff. You can get them in kits or already prefabricated stuff, but it can get a little pricey for it, especially depending on the size of your deck, but it's a real good option to completely change the look of your older deck. And you can do it kind of budget friendly depending on what you do, but it will completely change the look of your deck. So that comes in at number 5. Then coming in at number 4 is another thing that is a whole lot more expensive to do now than it was a couple of years ago, but this will also completely change the look of your deck if it doesn't already have this, is wrapping it with a lattice. You can do what I usually do is get the 4x8 sheets of lattice, and you can get it in regular wood, or you can get the plastic or composite sets, and you can get it in different panels to put on your deck and do it all yourself. But wrapping your whole entire bottom of your deck, if it isn't already on there, wrapping it with lattice will also completely change the look of your deck and add a whole lot more value, just like number 5 will if you change the railing and stuff like that. Now we're at number 3. This is also like number 4 and number 5, where depending on the size of your deck, this can get expensive. If we're talking about a smaller deck, you might be more interested in doing it. But number 3 is using composite decking. If you've got wood decking like I've always had on my decks, you can pull all of that up and then put composite decking down, which will never deteriorate. If you're under a lot of trees like I am, you'll still have to clean it or power wash it, depending on how much foliage there is around you. I would probably end up having to power wash it once a year. You might have to do that. You might be able to do it every other year or every 3 years or something like that, but this also will completely change the look of your deck, make it last a whole lot longer, and it's a good idea to do, but as I said, it can get expensive depending on the size of your deck. So that comes in at number 3, is changing the floor of the deck with composite decking. Now we are left with number 2 and number 1. Just about anybody can do this. They are at number 2 and number 1 because they are really easy to do, not that long, not a big drawn out project like some of the others that we've talked about, and are some of the cheapest in all of these 8. So coming in at number 2, we're going to be talking about adding step backboards. Now some of you might already have this. A lot of decks I've seen don't have this. I don't know why, because it looks a whole lot better. If you decide to do this, I've got a picture of mine here that I did. If you don't have step backboards on your steps on your deck, once you do it, it looks like the deck was like not finished before. It really makes your deck steps look completed a whole lot nicer. And this is going to be fairly cheap because I usually use deck boards for this. You won't have to get a ton of deck boards. I mean, you're not going to have that many steps. Your deck isn't going to be that far off the ground, so it's not going to be crazy expensive, and you'll just have to cut a few boards, however many steps you have, and secure them to the back of the steps that are already there. As I said in the other video, with any deck floor that I do, I always use screws. I always use screws in these as well, so if the board's like dry, all the water gets out of it, and they want to move, they can't if you use screws. So coming in at number 2 is adding backboards to your steps. Now coming in at number 1 is the easiest thing on this list to do. Anybody can do this, and it's probably going to be the cheapest one on here as well, depending on number 2. If you don't have a whole lot of steps, and depending on how big your actual deck is, number 1 and number 2 price wise could be flip-flop. All depends on what you actually have. But coming in at number 1 is number 1 also because it is the best thing to do. Not doing any of these other things. If I had to recommend one, this would be it, and it is to repaint or restain your deck. Now, to do this, all you have to do is clean it or power wash it and get all the, if there's anything on it already, get that all off, and then go buy stain or go buy paint and get a brush or a roller, depending on how big it is, what you want to do, and paint it or restain it. It's the easiest thing in the world to do, certainly a whole lot easier than anything else on this list. And if you had to do one, do this, and it will also completely change the look of your already existing deck. So that comes in at number 1 at repainting or restaining. So that is ranking the top 8 upgrades to a deck I think are the best. Let me know down in the comments if you think some of these should be flip-flopped, or if you think I left anything out. Let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure to check out the video that came ahead of this, because I talked about how I did the deck that I just did. Big project. It's a real big project because I just talked about the deck and I did a whole outdoor kitchen and everything on it. Doing a whole lot of videos in the future coming up on that, so be sure to stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys in the next one.